Have you ever noticed that very smart people stay broke for a long time? And people will be wondering why. Well, I'm about to tell you my story of how I went from $2,000 to about $20,000 a month. And for a long time, I was one of those smart people that was broke. So anyway, I'm going to tell you the story in this video. So get ready. You might need a pen and a paper to take notes, but this is story time from me to you. If you're new around here, hi, my name is Kume. I'm a business coach. On this channel, I like to create content around making money online, running a business, and being a content creator for your business. So if you hear anything that sounds interesting, be sure to hit the subscribe button and join the community. So this is going back years ago. I had left my corporate job at this point. I had started my e-commerce business. It was flourishing. And people started to ask me questions about what I was doing. So I was getting a lot of questions around, hey, what are you doing to make all of this money? How do I get started? Things like that. My friends wanted to know. My friends of my friends also wanted to know. Like people started to contact me and just out of the blues. Around the same time, I was creating content on Facebook and Instagram, and I was just sharing behind the scenes of what I was doing, what was working, what the business was like. And the more I shared, the more people sort of started reaching out to say, hey, can you help me? I want to do the same thing. And so I started to think that, okay, let me see if I can put something together that will help these people to do the business, because as far as I was concerned, the sky was big enough for everybody to fly. So I put together my first workshop. It was like a 2-day workshop, and I charged it at 120 pounds at the time. So that was like $150. And I got a few people. I think I got like 8 people in that class, but it was 2 days of talking. It was so exhausting. By the time I finished, I was tired, but I was so excited. I was excited for two reasons. First of all, is the fact that I had valuable information that I knew could change people's lives. Then the second reason I was excited was people that came to my class started to get results. Like some people started to make sales very quickly. And I was so excited, like, oh my God, it's working for them. But what I didn't think of was, how am I going to scale this thing? At that time, I was just having so much fun. So fast forward months and months passed. I was still doing the same thing. People would come to me to get help, and I would say $150, and they would say something like, can I pay £100 or $100? Sorry. And I would be like, yes. So essentially my program was $100, and I was getting people, and I was so excited. The problem was, at $100, I was working overtime. I was having one-to-one meetings with them. I was having group coaching calls. People will reach out to me at all hours of the day or night, and I would respond to them. And it was all good and well, but I was burning out. I was falling ill all the time. I was always exhausted. I wasn't getting as much sleep as I should have been getting. So one day, I just sat up in bed. It was like 2 in the night, and I was thinking about this coaching thing I was doing. Now, I loved the coaching, I was enjoying it, but I had a one-to-one with myself. You know, that come to Jesus moment where I was like, come and look, if you continue doing this, you will kill yourself, or you will fall so sick that you will need like a lot of intervention to get better. And when I looked at what I was making, I was only making about $2,000 per month at the time. And $2,000 is not small money, but at the same time, it couldn't pay all my bills. And I was dedicating like almost the entire day to these coaching clients and everything. I had that come to Jesus moment with myself, and I said, okay, if I'm going to continue coaching because I enjoy it, I don't want to be doing it from a place of scarcity, desperation. I was tired of hustling. I needed to change the whole situation. So I said, okay, how am I going to do this? And I didn't know how. Do you know, like when you get to that place where you're like, oh, I need to cross the river, but I don't have a boat. I don't know how I'm going to cross the river. So I took it to God in prayer. I started praying about it. And around that time, I was on Instagram one day, and a video popped up. It was a video of a lady who actually went to school with me years and years ago. but then she had moved to the UK before, long before me as a child, and she was now a coach. And so in her video, she was talking about how she had just had a $60,000 month in her coaching business. I was like, oh my God. I watched that video like 10 times and I was like, oh my goodness. So the next thing I did was I messaged her on Instagram and I said, hey, can you help me? I have a coaching business where I'm making 2,000 every month, but I have zero idea what I'm doing wrong because I need to scale, but I don't know how to scale. And then she responded to me like after 24 hours and said, okay, let's get on a call. I'll see if I can help you. We got on a call. I spoke to her. I was so pleased. I was so excited that she could help me. I ended up investing in her program, and that was how I learned how to be a high ticket coach. Now, my first month as a high ticket coach, I realized that, okay, there were some things that needed changes in my business. And I'll tell you the things that needed changes. Number one was the fact that I had been, until that time, I had been undermining my own value, right? I had been undermining my own value. I had been allowing other people to dictate what they wanted to pay me. And so because other people were dictating, they weren't valuing it at the right value that it should have been. Because if I'm going to help you to make $100,000 in your business, then to be fair, you shouldn't be paying me $100. The value was just not working. The second mistake I was making was the fact that I was so excited by the fact that I was coaching people that I wasn't properly vetting who I should work with. So I was pretty much taking everybody and anybody in my business. And so that was draining me because some people are not serious. They would pay the $100 or whatever amount. They will come into the program, but they wouldn't do the work. And so all of a sudden, it seems like you didn't teach them. But it's not that you didn't teach them. It's that it's a partnership relationship. As I'm teaching them, I need them to also be moving, working and doing the things I ask them to do. Then the third thing was that I realized that I didn't have boundaries in my business. And that is a very critical thing to realize. Because I didn't have boundaries, that was why people were calling me at all sorts of times. They'll call me in the morning. People will call me in the middle of the night. People will message me at all times. And because I was so excited about coaching them, I would get on the phone at any time, whether it was convenient or not, because I wanted them to win. So I realized that these were the three things that were draining me in that business. And because I loved coaching, I had put up with it for a long time. Then there was now also the problem that for a lot of people, because I had charged them such a little amount, for them, it wasn't something that they wanted to pay attention to so much. So when I ended up chasing them and saying, hey, what's going on in your business? Instead of them feeling grateful, they felt resentful. Like, please, is it because of $100 you are chasing me up and down? So these were things I needed to change in my business. Anyway, to cut the long story short, I went back to the drawing board and I started to change things. The first thing I did was I 10x'd the price of my coaching. Actually, 20x actually. I multiplied the value of my coaching because I then realized that if somebody came to me and said, I'm going to give you $100,000 and I need you to give me 2,000, it's a good deal. So I multiplied the value of the coaching, the price of the coaching. And what that did for me was it removed all the people that were not really serious about the business. They were just there for the quick win. And it really started to bring in more serious people. The next thing I did was I put office hours. You can only reach me between this hour and this hour because I actually had young children. I still have young children. And it was not just good for my family life. And then the third thing I did was I said, okay, I'm only going to take a few people into my program so that I can concentrate. I don't feel overwhelmed and I don't feel like I'm about to lose my mind. Once I did this, I then said, okay, I'm going to host an event. So that's the third main thing. So let me recap what I did. Number one was understanding that, okay, I had a valuable skill and I priced it accordingly. Number two, I decided to decide what kind of people are going to come into my program. Number three, I put in boundaries. And then finally, I then said, okay, I'm ready. I hosted an event, a virtual event, and I invited everybody who was interested in my program. Instead of me meeting them one to one like before, I said, everyone come to an event, ask me your questions at the event, and let's talk about it. And at that event, I then sold my program. After teaching them, I then sold my program. I actually taught them like it was a challenge style thing, like 5 days of little tidbits, and then on the final day, I then sold my program. And when I sold my program, I got 10 people into the program, and that was how I went from $2,000 to $20,000 in a day. I have never looked back after that because I then realized that, oh, when you have such a valuable skill, you have a decision to make whether you want people to keep undermining your skill, undervaluing your skill, or you want to take ownership and build a sustainable business. And that is the problem I see a lot of coaches making, or a lot of experienced entrepreneurs who want to coach. Because they have a skill that comes easy to them, they think it comes easy to everybody. And then because of that, they price it at peanuts. And because of that, they're burnt out, they're overwhelmed, and they don't make good money. So if you watched to this point in the video, I want you to know that, look, if you have a valuable skill, you can turn it into consistent 20, 30, 50K months, and you never have to worry about money or being overwhelmed. You can actually do less and make more. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. That is exactly my story of how I went from 2K to 20K a month. And I'm happy. If you have any questions about the whole thing, please drop it in the comments. And if you watched this video and you loved what you saw here, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and join the community. And I'll see you in my next video. Ciao, guys.